Hello everyone, I'm Richard Gon of Back to Live podcast version. I'm sorry, I have stuttered, and this time I'd like to talk about what is necessary to be able to acquire acquire. I'm sorry. Let me change how to say. What is it? This time, what I'd like to talk about is how to get higher proficiency of English language. Yeah, this is more suitable topic than the than the topic I have come up with seconds before. And this time, I have I have in I have investigated the countries the countries which are good at English language. And first of all, let me introduce. First of all, I used a website which is the name of the website is EFEPI, which stands for, I don't know what EF stands for, but EPI means English Proficiency Index. So at first, I will paste the link of this website on the description column of this episode. And if you'd like to know people in which country are good at English, and people in which countries are not so good at English language, please take a look at that website so that you can understand people in which the citizens of which countries are good at English language, and vice versa or opposite. You can understand the opposite stuff to what I have just told you. And there is of course, by taking a look at the website, you can understand which countries are good at English, and which countries are not so good at English. And there are five levels. There are 5 levels, from very high proficiency and high proficiency and moderate proficiency and low proficiency and very low proficiency. There are 5 levels of degrees of English proficiency. And the top one, or introducing top 10 countries. Those countries are Netherlands, Austria, and Denmark, Singapore, Norway, Belgium, Portugal, Sweden, Finland, Croatia. And by introducing those countries, you can understand European countries are better. European countries must be better at English language. And apart from European countries, there are some Asian countries which use English languages for governmental communication, or governmental formalities or stuff like that. For example, the country I'm talking about is among these top 10 countries. Singapore is a typical example of the users of English language. And so, which is why people in Singapore have to be. It is natural that people in Singapore are really good at English language, and so, which is why they are really good at English language. That's natural. So apart from top 10 countries, there are 3 countries ranked in very high proficiency, and the rest of the rest 3 countries are Germany, South Africa, and Luxembourg. South Africa is one of the English-speaking nations, so which is why this country it is natural that people in Republic of South Africa are really good at English language. And the famous person, Mr. Elon Musk is from South Africa, which is why concerning which South African people are good at English language. And this time, what I'd like to tell you is that the necessary stuff to acquire such higher proficiency of English language, and necessary stuff are, there are 2 things which are necessary for getting higher proficiency of English language. Those two things are time and money. That's it. This is a conclusion of this episode. So why I can say is because taking a look at this website, there are, so this is a fact that there are many countries, and of course as you can guess, Japanese people, Japan is ranked into low proficiency level. So there is a the second bottom level, which is named low proficiency in this website. So, and as you know, if you know some Japanese people, what I mean is not Japanese American or not Japanese Canadians. What I mean is the people. Japanese people living in Japan with Japanese nationalities. So they are not people all over the world may think that Japanese people in Japan are not so good at English language, and the truth is, Japan is ranked in low proficiency, but they aren't ranked in very low proficiency, and the countries ranked in very low proficiency are, for example, Mexico is ranked into very low proficiency, and another country is Ecuador, and still another is Iraq is ranked in this very low proficiency, lower than Japan, and Cameroon and Angola, Myanmar, Uzbekistan, you name it, whatever. If you'd like to know all the countries ranked into very low proficiency, please take a look at that website. And I'm not interested in those countries who are bad at English language. And but here's the thing. What I'd like to tell you is that there are some countries who speak, or there are some countries using Indo-European languages. For example, maybe most of you know that Ecuador and Mexico use Spanish language, which is slightly closer to English language. At least if there are distances between or among languages, if there are things like linguistic distances, Japan, the distance between English and Japan has to be longer than almost any other languages. At least Spanish. It is natural to think that Spanish people are better at English language than Japanese people. And so searching Spain in this website, Spain is ranked into moderate proficiency, but this country is higher than Japan in terms of the proficiency of English language. People using Indo-European languages are better at English language, and so considering which, it is natural to think that Japanese people are bad at English language, which can be natural, but those using Spanish language are worse than Japanese people. So the typical examples are Ecuadorian people and the Mexican people, and I think the reason is because they don't have money, which is what I thought. They don't have money, they don't have time, they don't study, and the reason why they are bad at, the reason why they are worse at English language than Japanese people is because they do not study, and why they don't study is because maybe they aren't serious, or they don't, perhaps they don't have money, or they don't have time because they have a lot of work to do, because because maybe, for example, employers load a lot of work on the employees, which is why those employees or poor people can't spare time for studying English language, which is why most people in such Latin American countries might be worse at English language than Japanese people. Japan is not poor country, but in the case of Japanese people, they find Japan secure, and even in the future forever. But as you know, the future of Japan is not so bright because considering the fact that population of Japan decreases year by year. Such so because the population of Japan is on such an declining curve. I think Japanese people should study English more. And apart from that fact that Japanese people do not study English language, what is necessary to acquire higher proficiency of English language is time and money. So in another case is that Switzerland is ranked in high proficiency, and France is in high proficiency in the same rank. But actually, maybe you know that people in Switzerland use German language. Mostly people in most people in Switzerland use German language. So considering which, it is natural if people in Switzerland are as good as German people in terms of the proficiency of English language. But Switzerland is ranked in high proficiency. But considering the top 10, considering the ranks of the proficiency, Germany is ranked in 11, but Switzerland is ranked in 25th. They are really distant. And in terms of this, according to this website, the rank of Switzerland is lower than Greece, and Greece is ranked in 19th. And by the way, France is ranked in 31st. In this level named high proficiency, France is the lowest. And so that is sort of natural because French language is a Latin language. But and maybe that is because French people. That is not the reason why. That might be the reason why they are not so good at English language. And another language might be that French people think French people might have found their country is really secure, which is why people in France do not study English. Which is why they are not so good at English language. In the case of Belgium, Belgium use French and Flemish. I don't know which one has greater speakers than which one. But considering linguistic distance or stuff like that, France must be better or as good. France might be as good as Belgium. Considering its so linguistic distance or stuff like that. But the reason why this situation happens is maybe this is another speculation, but people who are or countries which are not so huge may study English language because those small countries. I'm sorry for calling those countries. I'm sorry for calling some countries small, but small people in small countries have to depend on imports or international trading. So in the case of, for example, China, domestic demands are really huge and rich. In the case of Japan, domestic demands are not that. Domestic demands are rich in the case of Japan, and the country having the richest domestic demand is maybe the United States of America. I don't know. Please investigate the ranks of the domestic demands if you'd like to know. I don't know much about that. So considering that countries having smaller domestic demands might concentrate on studying English. I mean, the citizens might concentrate on studying English because they are in they are they are from small countries, or they live in small countries, and which is what I thought, and which is what I speculated, which is why I thought, time and money are necessary for raising the proficiency, and time is necessary for studying, and money is necessary for purchasing, for example, some textbooks. So if you do not have time, normal. If you don't have time, you should spare time for whatever manner. So if you do not have money, you should work at first. Then you should purchase some books for studying English. And if you have time and money, and if you're bad at English language, that is unnatural. Unnatural. If you have time and if you have money, but if you are not so good at English, that is unnatural, because people can speak English. If you have some problems in the use of English, in the use of your mother tongue, you may not be able to acquire English language. But if you can speak your mother tongue fluently without any trouble, so you can acquire English language, because English is not difficult. So if you have time and money, and if you have no problem in using your mother tongue, you can acquire English language if you study. This is what I'd like to tell you this time. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. See you. If you'd like more information about the episode, please check out the description column of this episode. So in the description column, I give you some additional information about the episode you have just listened.